Hi guys, and welcome to this tutorial session. And in this video we're going to be looking at the HackTheBox video or HackTheBox machine called DevOps. So I've already created a folder for this, and we can do a quick nmap scan. .10.10.91, which is the IP address for DevOps box. But I've already ran this, so if we just have a look at the result of the scan, we got 22 TCP port open, which is running SSH, and also port 5000, which is HTTP, which is running a G-Unicorn server, and this tells us the Linux machine. So we could take a quick look at the web server. So we could do 10.10.10.91 5000. We'll get a page. We'll try to view the source of this page, and we can see this is the feed pie, and we got some messages, but this is actually a static page, nothing actually happening. So the next thing I tried to do was to do directory scanning using debbuster or deb, HTTP, then the IP address. So using this common.txt word list, it goes ahead to scan the directory. I think I actually type is wrong. So it's 10.10.10.1. So this might actually take a while. And after the scan actually completed, we found two directories or two directories in this on the web server. So the first one was called feed, I think. Yep. And there was nothing much happening here, but the more interesting one was one called upload. And this actually requests for a test API, and a file to be uploaded has to be an XML file. If you've come across there's a similar box which had the same exploit, the XXE exploit, which actually we will have a look at in the video, or in the box called Fulcrum. So a quick look at this. It gives a clue on the XXE elements or the XML elements, which we need to create a schema for in order to upload as a file. So there's some XXE vulnerabilities that I looked at. I found one very interesting one, which is XXE to REC, and it's actually this one here. And it explains how you could use the XXE XML vulnerability to actually read files off the vulnerable server. So I'm just going to copy this out. I'll close this. Clear screen, and just create a file called master.xml. Put this in, and then we're going to make slight changes to this exploit. So I'll get rid of this first line. I just changed the author here to capital author. The next one was content. The contents, have a look. Subject. Closing tag as well, subject. And the final one was content. I think they change here as well. Okay, so if we look here, this XSE tag needs to be here as well. So we can replace this line with computers with the and XXE. semicolon. So we can actually get rid of this, all of these lines. So here we go. So we have our exploit ready. Save that. Then try to upload this on the in here. So go on uploads, browse, HackTheBox, DevOops, XML, upload. And straight away we're able to read the password file, and I think this will be much more ideal to do using burp suite. So I'm just going to start up burp suite. Okay, so in our proxy we have intercept on, which is fine. Go back to upload, you'll go a step backwards and try to upload this again. So Bob actually intercept this. We can see the file here, so we can send this to repeater, intercept off, repeater, and click and go. We're able to see the file in a much more better view than we saw on the web page. So having a look here, we can see we've got a user called Rosa. I think we've got a user called Git OS boxes as well. So we can actually read files of this box, which is quite interesting. So that's a good start, that we actually know there are some users, but the more interesting one is this user called Rosa. So going back, I'm just going to turn that off. So going back here, based on the exploit, it's possible if you've got the PHP exploit expect module. So it says here, for remote code execution, if the PHP expect module is loaded on the verbose server, it is then possible to be able to execute commands. So if we replace our exploit with this expect ID tag, we might be able to execute commands. So let's give that a try. So we can change this to expect and then try to just do an ID on it. And we don't get a response. So probably that expect module is not actually enabled. So let's go back here and we can still read files. So what we can then do here after enough probing is to see if we could read additional files. So using the file command, I'm just going to go to home, Rosa. So we know there's a user called Rosa, and try to see if we could get the SSH private key ID underscore RSA. Click and go, and then we can see we're able to get RSA private key off by just reading that file. So that we might be able to log in using this. So I'm just going to copy this out. And then create and just save the key. So I'll call this Rosa the key. Paste that in. So we just need to go to the top here and get rid of this content. So we have an RSA key there. So what we need to do is we could try to see if it's password protected. We might try to crack the password to this key. So we could use SSH to John. So, oops, that wasn't SSH to John. So SSH to John comes with Kali. If I do SSH to John, and then I give the key, SSH to John says there's no, so that this key is not actually password protected, which is quite interesting. So what we need to do is just run a chmod 600 on the key, user.key, and then try to use the key to log in. So -I rosa.key -p port 22 rosa at 10.10.10.91, and straight away we're able to log in as the user. So a list, you can see we've got the user.txt file there, so we have the user flag. So what we could do as well is to try to enumerate. So you could use like lean-enum.sh to enumerate and see if there are any low-hanging fruits that we can actually exploit. But I already ran that on this box and I couldn't find anything, so I'll just go to the nitty-gritty of this. So we could do a long list and try to see the permissions on the files here, and we can see almost all the files here, or every single file here belongs to Rosa, but we do see a file here that belongs to root, but we don't have permissions on that directory. So we can try to see what the user has been doing by catting the bash history. So clear screen. Just do a cat the bash history, and straight away you see the user has been running a lot of commands based on setting up the services that is actually running on this box. So after enough probing, I'm just going to scroll back to the top. We can see that there's some kind of Git repository that was being configured on this box. And from our long list, I think there's a directory here called work. So you could take a look at that directory. So cd work list, and there's another one called the blog. So we go into this directory. Then we could actually see the script probably running the gunicorn command. So let's cat that script, see what's in that script. So we can see it actually executes Python Flax app, and that's the app actually running on port 5000, which we actually enumerated earlier on. So the next thing I did on this box was to go a bit deeper. So we could cd resources list, cd integration. If we go back to the, I'm not sure if I still got this here, but if we go back to the bash history, we could actually see the user creating different sort of directories. So let's see if we could run a git command. So if we do a git log, we see the different commits that was made by the user. And then we can start to go into each of these commits and see the configuration that was used on each of these to push each of these commits to the Git repository. So what I did was to have a look at each of them using the hashes of each of these Git commits. So now to do that, you could do a git show, paste that in here, and there's nothing here, so we're looking at them one after the other. So go for the next one, hit show. It's nothing in that one as well, it's just some text. We'll look at the one after that. We can see we get a private key. And having a look at this private key, I just want to compare. So we can see the last three letters here, 0EE. And I'm going to explain something real quick. So let's go back in here. We can see this is actually a kind of a different key that we used to log in. So this private key will actually belong to one of these users, probably root. Okay, so let's keep looking at each of those, and we can see here that the user actually used this as the integration credentials used for this Git repository. So the last one we looked at was 83F. So let's have a look at the one out after that. Right, so I think what happened here was the user tried to made a mistake with the name of the box. DevOops gives away something there saying, I think the user tried using the wrong key in order to make that commit, and then try to change that again. So if we have a look at this key, we can actually see we've got two keys here. So this is the one that was replaced with this other one. So let's have a look. So the one here ends with 0EE, which is this one, and then it was replaced by this one. So we could copy these keys and try to see which one might actually be useful. So copy this out. And I'm just going to create another directory. So cd HTTP, cd DevOops, and then nano old.key. Paste the key in here. And just get the last bit of this. Put it here as well. So what I'm going to try to do is just take away all of this, just to modify the key so we don't have any problems when we're trying to use it. Okay, there we go. So we could do the same thing we did before by doing SSH to John, old key, to see if it's password protected. And it says old key as well is not password protected. So we could just do a chmod 600 and supply the key, o.key. Okay, but in order to use this to log in, we probably have to exit this because we're still trying to log on to the port 22. So I'm just going to exit this. And then from here, we do SSH-I, o.key, sp22, try root 10.10.10.91. and we logged in. So that's the right key for the root user. So we could do a list or cd roots list, and there's the root flag. So it was pretty straightforward. It was about reading files. We actually took a lot of time for enumeration. So this is it was a very fun bug because it took a lot of while to actually figure it out. But in the end, it was a lot of fun, and talks about, I think the lesson from this box is about looking into the detail, actually enumerating patiently. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video tutorial. Thank you for watching.